What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today I'm coming in with Rehab Part 4. But before I dive into that, I would like to mention a couple things. First off, drop a like on this video if you guys do enjoy. Second off, I'm going to be relaunching my second channel, my PC channel. For those of you guys who may remember, I've done this a lot. I've relaunched it and then made like 6 videos and quit, but I'm back for good now on that channel. Don't worry about it. On that channel, you guys can find, Let's Plays of certain games. I'm doing a Hitman playthrough that I'm starting up probably either today or tomorrow. Depends on when that video gets uploaded and ready to go. And also going to be doing a couple other side commentary series, like maybe rants or Goblin Reacts, stuff like that. That's going to be exclusive to that channel. So if you guys want to see more Goblin stuff, more of me just playing games, being stupid, getting shit on, then subscribe to that channel. It will be linked in the description below. Please subscribe. I hope you enjoy that channel. Personally, I have a lot of fun making videos for it because I just get to chill out and play games. And also, another thing is, on that channel, I don't use the mic I'm using right now. I use my headset, so the audio quality is a little lower just because using my stand-up AT2020 is a pain in the fucking ass. But either way, yeah, that's all I had to say. So drop a like if you guys do enjoy. And without further ado, let's dive into it. So Rehab Part 4. Now, where I left off yesterday in Rehab, or not yesterday, 2 days ago in Rehab Part 3, we had just finished our first day. I'd gone to sleep. I was on the medical unit. So the next morning, all right, they have this buddy system at the rehab center where basically every new person, every new intake gets a buddy who's been there for a while and knows what they're doing. And the buddy's supposed to show them around, take them to lunch, eat at meals with them, show them the bookstore. They had a little bookstore you could buy stuff at in there, and just show you the ropes basically. So I hadn't met my buddy yet, but they told me who his name was. Or what his name was, excuse me. His name, we're going to call him Don. So, I didn't really know Don. I didn't really care when he came to meet me because I didn't even care to be at this place, to be completely honest, at least for the first couple weeks. But anyways, next morning I get a knock on my door at 7 a.m. sharp, and door swings open and Don's standing there. Now, this guy, he was a character. Let me tell you guys, he was a kind of not super tall, but he was pretty muscly. He was a meth addict. He looked just really, really angry all the time. This guy just looked very, very angry. So I look at this guy. He's got sleeves on both arms. He's just tatted up, and I'm just oh boy. All right, let's see how this goes. Because I could just look, how you just look at someone and see we're nothing alike at all. I don't think we're gonna get along. That's basically my interpretation of Don. We did end up getting along kinda, but we had nothing at all in common. But anyways, so he comes in, he's yo, bro, he shakes my hand, he's I'm Don, nice to meet you. I'm what up, I'm Nick. Everyone here does a firm handshake. No one shakes up, locks up, anything like that. They do a firm handshake here. So he comes in, gives me the firmest handshake of my life, and he's we got breakfast in 20 minutes, but you can sleep in if you want, it's cool. So I was all right, whatever, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to breakfast. So I'm all right, I'll see you at breakfast. He's all right, peace out. And for the first 3 days, your buddy is supposed to come wake you up. He's supposed to come get you in the mornings. So anyways, I hop in the shower in my little 1-bed room, and it was glorious. Let me tell you guys, the bathroom in this room was so nice. I hopped in the little shower. I got my shower done. I threw on some new clothes and went to breakfast. Now, let me tell you guys, the food at this place goes nuts. It's I expected it to be god-awful jail food, just shit, garbage, would not ever eat again. No, I was wrong. The food at this place is insane. It's so fucking good. It was schmacking, especially the breakfast. Let me tell you guys, the breakfast went crazy, dude. We had biscuits and gravy. We had, oh man, it went ham. That's all I'm going to say. But anyways, so, I end up walking down from the medical unit over to the cafeteria, which is kind of in the middle of the building somewhat. And I go into the cafeteria, and so far, Don is the only person I've met besides employees. He's the only person I've met. So I go up, I get my tray. I'm a little late to breakfast, and I see Don sitting at the table. So I just kind of decide to go sit with him. So I go pull a seat up at the table. There's 5 or 6 other guys at the table with him, and then I sat down. Everyone's just looking at me. They're just fascinated. It's a new guy. It's kind of like when you have a bunch of dogs, and then a new dog shows up and they're all sniffing him and shit. That's kind of how it was. So, I sit down and I'm just oh man, this is going to be weird. Like there's just a bunch of different dudes at the table who all look very different and seem very different. And it was just interesting. So they're asking me, they're like, oh, what's your drug of choice? And I was like, acid and weed, the usual. And they were like, oh, what do you do? Where are you from? Shit like that. And most of the people in the state, except for my buddy Don was actually from Hawaii. I don't know why he came from so far, but this man's made a mission to get to this place. But they asked me, I told them where I was from. They were like, oh, you're not from Minnesota. Damn, you're pretty far away. And I was like, yeah, yep. And then there was another kid at our table who was from California. So like motherfuckers were just coming in from everywhere. Like, I mean, fucking everywhere. There were so many fucking people from so many random ass places. Like maybe like 80% of the people there, excuse me, I just like burped a little bit. Maybe like 80% of the people there were from Minnesota, and then the other 20% were just from like random ass places. Like there was a dude from Arkansas, there was a dude from fucking Cali, there was a dude from Hawaii, there was a dude from Idaho, like just random places. So anyways, I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm from. And then we just kind of talk and eat our breakfast. Nothing interesting really happens. After that, we go back to our rooms, or they have like their unit where like all the rooms are after you get out of the medical unit. I'm still on the medical unit at this point, so I go back to my room, and there's this housekeeping lady, and she's cool as hell. So the housekeeping lady, she wheels over the little like hotel wheelie thingy you put the bags on, and she's like, all right, we're gonna move you into your room now. So I'm like, all right, bet, let's do it. Let's move into the room. So I pack up my shit, and by packing up, I mean I just take all my clothes and just throw them into the bag completely unfolded, and just throw the bag on the like wheelie cart thing and wheel it down to where my room is. Now my room was on the very top floor. There was like 2 levels of this unit. There was 3 different units on this place, and each one of them had like about maybe like 8 rooms in them, 8 to 10 rooms, but anyways, and each room had 4 beds. So there was a good amount of people. But anyways, so I move into my room, and they wheel the little thing down there, and no one else is in my room at this time because everyone has like a bunch of mandatory programming they have to do every day, except for like your first couple days there. Your first couple days there, you don't have shit. Like your schedule's clear. So I just got to like chill out all day basically. So I unpack my stuff, a couple days later, but like I kind of just take the bags and just throw them in my like cubicle and just kind of lay them on my bed. I was too lazy to unpack at this time. I was like, fuck it, I don't even want to be here. So I unpack my shit, and I go back out of my room. Now, I had hella appointments on this day. Hella fucking appointments. Like, I'm talking, I just had to meet with everybody and see everybody on this particular day. So, I'm meeting with like the psychiatrist, the doctor, my counselor, like just all sorts of shit to do. And I get done with all those meetings, and the rest of the day is pretty standard. I go to lunch and eat lunch, go back, and then I'm not, the first day there, the first like 3 days there, you're not cleared to go to gym, but because they have to like take your vitals like 3-4 times a day when like your first couple days there, just to make sure you're stable and all that before you can like go to gym. So like a lot of the people who were withdrawing from really hard drugs like meth and heroin didn't get to go to gym. Excuse me, I can't fucking talk, for like the first week because their vitals were just really like unstable and they were just sick. But luckily, that wasn't the case for me. So anyways, the first day there, in place of gym, they take the new guys who haven't been cleared yet, and they send them to orientation, which is basically like you sit in a room with the other new guys and just talk about yourself. Like you just talk about like the drugs you did. They had this little like format for it. It was like your favorite things, a unique attribute about yourself, what drugs you did, and where you're from, your name, your age, and some other shit. I can't remember. 3 hobbies, I think, but either way. So I do the orientation thing, don't really think much of it, don't really pay very much attention, to be very honest. Get out of the orientation thing, and once again, jack shit going on. So I'm going to kind of skip ahead in the day a little bit. So finally, nighttime rolls around, right? And at nighttime, we had an in-room time. We had to be in our rooms at, I think it was like 10 o'clock on weekdays and 10:30 on weekends, I'm pretty sure. So 10 o'clock rolled around, I was in the room, and there was 3 other dudes in my room. There's a dude named Kyle, a dude named Zach, and a dude named Sean. That's what we're going to call them. So Kyle, Zach, and Sean. They were my roommates, and Zach and Sean were really cool. Kyle was a little shit. I'll get to that later. I'll get to that way later. But basically, we all go into the room, and it seems like a pretty fun room. They're all like, oh, you're our new roommate. They shake up with me. They're like, what's up? What's going on? And we all like, we all like hang out in the back left cubicle, like away, as far away from the door and like where the staff would be as we could possibly get, because we did some mischief in this room. Besides Kyle's a little shit, but he was a little snitch, but I'll get to that later. So anyways, we all gang up, chill out in the back left cubicle, and they're just asking me questions. They're like, yo, so, where are you from? What's your drug of choice? Just like surface level stuff like that, getting to know each other, shit like that. And, we're chilling, we're talking, and Zach is like, oh, I'm glad we got a pretty cool roommate now. And that made me feel good. That made me feel special. And I was like, why? Did you guys have a shitty one before? And they were like, yeah. And then they gave me this whole description of this fucking piece of shit scumbag roommate they had before me, who was in my cubicle before he left. Apparently he left like a day or two before I got there. So, I guess they were glad to have me in that room. But anyways, so we're just chilling out, talking for a little bit, just doing the mischief, doing the dirty, not really doing anything too bad. We would kind of like whip each other with towels. That was like our tradition, but we didn't do it on this particular night. But we had like those little like Mios that you squirt in the water that like flavors the water, and we were just like doing shots of Mio, like just squirting it in each other's mouths and shit. Like it was interesting. That sounded kind of gay, but either way, no homo, bro. But anyways, so we're doing our Mio shots. We're chilling out, talking about like random shit, telling stories about like getting fucked up and drugs we've done and shit like that, which later we got snitched on for doing, because you're not supposed to like tell stories about drugs or anything. That's called war storying. That's what they call it there. But anyways, so finally, lights out time comes in, and the staff comes in like every 30 minutes at night to check on you. Literally every 30 minutes. So it's ridiculous. They come in at 10:30 on the dot, and they're like, all right, you guys got to turn the lights out, turn them off. Let's go, lights out. So we all go back to our cubicles, and I move my duffel bag and my other little like Adidas bag off my bed, which all my clothes were in. I hook up my alarm clock, and I can't figure out how to set it up because I'm just fucking stupid. I'm so used to like just using my phone as a clock. So I'm like, yo, Zach, can you help me set up my fucking alarm clock? And Zach's like, yeah, I got you. So he comes over, he helps me hook that bitch up. And I get it all set and ready to rumble. So the clock's on time now, and I lay down. We flick all the lights off, and we're laying there for a minute. And Zach goes, all right, who's telling a story tonight? So apparently, I learned this very quickly. The room tradition is that every night they tell bedtime stories. Like just random bedtime stories. They can be true, they can be fiction. It doesn't fucking matter. Like we can just tell whatever the fuck we want, basically. So I'm like, oh, bet. This is right up my alley. They got a professional storyteller in their room, and they don't even know it. So I was like, I'm about to bang out some stories. So Zach goes first, and Zach tells this story about, like, I don't remember exactly what it was. It was like fuck, I can't remember what it was. Something about getting fucked up on acid, like some squirrel or some shit who was fucked up on acid. I don't know. So he told that story. It was like a 5-minute story. And then it gets to Sean, and Sean tells, I remember this one pretty clearly because it turns out that he played a lot of Call of Duty as well, and he was into like trick shotting and all that. So he was like, he told the story about like Power Rangers who got high as fuck and like trick shotted on High Rise, the MW2 map and shit like that. So that story lasted like 3 minutes, and then he was talking about how like the trick shotters all killed Zach, and then Zach got really like offended by that. So then they asked if I wanted to tell a story, and I was like, all right, bet I'll tell a story. So I just completely pulled one out of my ass. And we did this every single night. So I don't remember like what story I told. Eventually it was only me telling stories because they didn't want to tell them. They just wanted to hear my stories. But anyways, so I end up telling this super long story. I tell like a 25-minute story, and they're all just sitting there like listening intently and like making comments on it throughout the story. And like I remember I finished the story, and they're just like, damn, you're good as fuck at this. And I was like, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to be like, I'm the fucking goblin, bitch. I was just like, oh, thanks. They're like, how do you do that? Like, how'd you just, pull that story out of your ass like that? Like, how'd you, just think of that? And I was like, I don't know. I just kind of think of like a term or like something to base it on, like a character, and then I just go off with it, So anyways, I'm telling the banger story. It's finally over. And then we all go to sleep. Kyle doesn't tell a story because Kyle would never tell stories. He's a shithead, but I'll get to that later. So we go to sleep. We're sleeping. We're all good. And next day rolls around. We wake up. It's my second day here. Now, second day here, not really much happened. Not really much happened at all. It was the next day, the third day, when things really started to get funky in our room. Things really started to turn into a hoot and a holler, to say the least. Well, my second day there, the only really interesting thing that happened was, I went to breakfast, ate breakfast, came back, and we had these daily treatment therapy groups. We had like these little therapy groups of like 8 or 9 people usually, and this was my first one that I'd ever gone to because, the day before I was at like meetings the whole time, meeting with staff and doctors and psychiatrists, so I missed the whole therapy group. But today I went. So I go, I meet my counselor, don't really have an opinion on her. She was a counselor, that's about it. And then we do this process called like intros, where we're basically like, like I mentioned, same thing as orientation. We all just do introductions, same exact parameters, same exact thing. So now we all introduce ourselves. I get to know everyone in the room. There's some weird dudes in this room, let me tell you. There was he didn't say this today. I found this out way later, but there was one guy in there named John who he like was very obsessed with like threatening his ex-girlfriend, and like he said that he dug a 6-foot hole in his backyard and sent her a Snapchat of it and said either you or me are going in this hole. I feel bad for laughing because it's fucked up, but like same time it was also really funny. Like if you guys knew this kid and looked at him, it's just like it just makes it so much funnier. But anyways, so we all introduce ourselves, and before the introductions, I forgot to mention this, we had this process called positives and concerns, where basically it's essentially just snitching on each other. It's like staff encouraged snitching. So like you give a positive if someone did something good, which isn't the snitching part. It's like, for example, you're like, there's a format. There's an I see, I feel, I hope, and I will. So like for example, it'd be like, Goblin, I see that you do drugs. I feel fucking concerned that you're stupid. I hope and expect that you will not do drugs anymore, and I'll be here to make sure you don't do drugs. That's like a perfect in and out right there. So I do this little process, and I'm just sitting here listening to it, and they're all like snitching on each other. Like, I got a concern for Jimmy. For example, like this isn't real. This is just a completely like example for you guys. Like Jimmy, cussing wasn't allowed here, so people will concern people for cussing all the time. But like Jimmy, I see you said the F word in the lower lounge yesterday. I feel very disrespected and concerned. I hope and expect that in the future you will not say the F word. I'll be here to make sure you don't say the F word. Like, it was just dumb shit, like petty ass shit. And there was a requirement where every Friday we had movie night, and the requirement was if you wanted to watch the movie on Fridays, you had to give 2 positives and 2 concerns every single week, at least. So basically what that meant is I had to snitch on 2 motherfuckers every single week. So it was kind of petty, but I had to fold for it. But anyways, we get out of that treatment group, and just the shenanigans were occurring. It was whatever. And we get done with that, hoot and the holler, and I'm still not approved for wellness, or gym, excuse me. It was called wellness there, but I'm just going to call it gym so you guys understand. But I really wanted to go to it, but I just was not approved for it at all, which sucked, because like that I told myself like that was the thing that was going to keep me sane in this place, like fucking going to the gym and like working out. They had a pretty nice weight room and shit, but I ended up I got a pretty good workout when I was there actually, but anyways, I'm just sitting around the unit for like the rest of the day while everyone's at, gym and all that shit, going to the meals, not really doing shit otherwise, just chilling, maxing, relaxing, all cool, playing some b-ball outside of the school, just the usual. And finally, the day just kind of rolls by. Not really shit happens. And finally, nighttime rolls around. We hop in bed. We're doing our shenanigans. Didn't do like anything too crazy on this night. I think we might have like whipped each other with towels a couple times, but it was nothing crazy, nothing like super nuts that we did later on in our stay, or aka the next day. But anyways, we went to sleep. We all told our stories, but this time neither of them, Zach or what's his face, Sean, I forgot I give like fake names. These aren't real names, guys, so I very often forget the name I gave people. But anyways, so Zach and Sean don't tell stories on this night because they just want to hear my story. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm the fucking storyteller now. And I liked it at first, for like the first week, and it got really irritating because every night they would like demand a story and get like really pissed off if I said no, because like I don't know why. They just wanted a story really bad. So I tell my story. It's like 20 minutes long, and we knock out. We go to bed. So anyways, that's part 4. Expect the next part tomorrow. The next part is a hoot and a holler. Let me tell you guys. Thank you all for watching. Once again, check out my second channel in the description below if you guys want to see some PC gaming, some unique series on there, some rants, just chill out stuff like that. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy. I will see you guys next time. Peace.
50 shots, nigga, whoa. That stick gon' sweep a nigga up, you better not hit the flow. SWAT team, Mousebird coming through the door. Tommy gun, whoa. Trench coat, whoa. Little bitch, I know you heard how Young Savage straight the boat. Motorola beep, VVS is fleeking. Lil Durkee got that 30 on him, he might get the tweaking. I just put up on your main bitch and you know she freaky. She know ain't